Hi guys, welcome to Excel and Math Sci. Today we'll be solving these quadratic equations which are already in factorized form. So we have the first one here. We have x times x minus 5, close bracket, which is equal to 0. Now the aim and objective is we need to find the values of x when multiplied together will give us 0. So there's two possibilities. So either x is equal to 0, because if x is equal to 0, that means 0 times 0 minus 5, which will give me negative 5 here. So 0 times minus 5 will give me 0. So that's one possibility. And the other possibility is that if x minus 5 is equal to 0, and if x minus 5 is equal to 0, then x would equal to 5. So the two possibilities for this equation, the first expression is x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 5. Let's look at the next one. Here we have x plus 1 and x plus 2 multiplied together equals to 0. Once again, there's two possibilities again. Either x plus 1 is equal to 0 or x plus 2 is equal to 0. And if x plus 1 is equal to 0, that means x must equal to minus 1. Because minus 1 plus 1 will give me 0. And for this one, x must equal to minus 2. Because minus 2 plus 2 will give me 0. And let's look at the next pair here. So we've got 2x plus 3 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. Once again, two possibilities. So either 2x plus 3 is equal to 0 or x plus 2 is equal to 0. Now if 2x plus 3 is equal to 0, that means that x would equal to, so we'll just solve this, so that's 2x is equal to, so if I take the 3 to the other side, and that become minus 3, so that means x is equal to minus 3 over 2. So that'll be one of my solutions for that. And of course we've already done this one here, so simply x is equal to minus 2. So these are my two solutions for the third pair. Let's look at these three expressions here, three quadratics. Now this time they're not factorized. So what we need to do, we need to factorize this. Now when we factorize this, we need to take out the highest common factor. So if we look at x squared plus 4x is equal to 0. Now the coefficient in front of the x is 1. In front of the x squared is 1 and in front of the x is 4. So there's no commonality between the coefficients. So the only thing that is common is the x's. So I can take the x out and that will give me x plus 4. And that's equal to 0. Once again, now there's two solutions to that. Either x is equal to 0, because 0 times any number will give me 0, and x or x plus 4 is equal to 0. If x plus 4 is equal to 0, that means x is equal to minus 4. So these are my two solutions for this quadratic equation. Now let's look at the next one here. So we've got 6a squared plus 9a and that's equal to 0. This time you have two coefficients in front of the a squared and a. Now they both have a common factor and that would be 3. So I can take a 3 out. They also have, there's an a squared here and there's an a here. So I take an a out. Now the next thing I need to ask myself is 3 times 3a times what gives me 6a squared. Of course, to get the 6, I would need to multiply that by 2. To get the a squared, I need to multiply that by a. Then I need to ask 3a times what will give me 9a. And of course, that would be 3. And that is equal to 0. Now, in order to solve this one, once again, there's two possibilities. So a is equal to 0 because 0 times any number will give me 0, or 2a plus 3 is equal to 0. Now solve this. So that means 2a is equal to minus 3. So then a is equal to minus 3 over 2. And these are the two solutions for this quadratic equation. Okay, let's have a look at the third one now. Once again, we have 14x squared plus 21x, and that's equal to 0. So in front of the in front of the x squared we have the 14, and in front of the x we have 21. Once again, there is a common factor between these two numbers, and that would be 7. So I can take 7 out, and I look at these letters. So I've got x squared here and I've got an x here, so therefore I can take an x out. So the next question I ask myself, 7x times what will give me 14x squared? So that would be 2x plus, and 7x times what will give me 21x? Of course that will be 3, because 3 times 7 gives me 21, and of course I've got my x there, and that would equal to 0. Once again, two possibilities, either x is equal to 0 or 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. So 2x is equal to minus 3, x is equal to minus 3 over 2. So these are the two solutions for this quadratic equation. X is equal to 0, x is equal to minus 3 over 2. Okay guys, here's another set of quadratics. This time it's x squared minus 25 is equal to 0. So we have differences of two squares. So in order to solve this type of one, what do? Once again, x squared minus 25 is equal to 0. So what we do, we take the minus 25 to the other side, and that would give me 25. Why? Because if you change sides, you change signs. So the next step would be to take the square root of both sides, and of course if I take square root of x squared, that would just give me x. And if I take the square root of 25, that will give me 5. But remember guys, it's going to be plus or minus 5, and the reason for that is because if you square a negative 5, that will give you 25, and of course if you square a 5, that will also give you 25. So that's why whenever you have a square, there's always two possibilities, a plus and a minus. Let's have a look at the next one here. So we have b squared minus 1 is equal to 0. Once again, we take the minus 1 to the other side, and it becomes a plus 1. And then we take the square root of both sides, and that will give me b is equal to plus and minus 1. b is either equal to minus 1 or b is equal to 1. And the same case for this, I should have stated that. So either x is equal to minus 5 or x is equal to 5. So these are the two solutions for that. Now for this one, once again, why don't you pause the video and just solve this and see what you get if you get the right answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this one now. So we've got y squared is equal to 4. That's us taking the negative 4 to the other side, and it becomes positive. And y, so we take the square root of both sides. So this would become y, and this would become 2. And of course, it'll be plus and minus 2. So that means y is equal to minus 2, or y is equal to 2. So these are my two solutions for y squared minus 4 is equal to 0. So let's see, how do we solve this? So once again, we follow exactly the same method. So we take the minus 18 to the other side and change the sign. So we have 2 a squared is equal to 18. Then a squared is equal to, so what we do, we divide both sides by 2. That will be the coefficient in front of the a squared, and that would give me a squared is equal to 9. Now if I take the square root of both sides, so if I take the square root of a squared and square root of 9, that would give me a is equal to plus or minus 3. So a is equal to minus 3, or a is equal to 3. So that would be the solution for this one. Let's look at this one. So we've got 5c squared minus 8a is equal to 0. Once again, following the same procedures, we have 5c squared. Now if I take the 80 to the other side, it becomes positive. So that will be positive 80. Now I divide both sides by the coefficient in front of the c squared, and that would give me c squared would give me 16. So c squared is equal to 16. So taking the square root of both sides, so if I take the square root of both sides, that will give me c is equal to plus and minus 4. So my solution is c is equal to minus 4, c is equal to 4. So we got 4y squared minus 64 is equal to 0. So that means 4y squared is equal to, so if I take the 64 minus 64 to the other side, that will become 64. So 4y squared is equal to 64. So then I divide both sides by the coefficient in front of the y squared, which is 4. And this then would give me y squared is equal to, so that would be of course 16. And once again, y equal to, so if I take the square root of both sides, that will give me plus and minus 4. So y is equal to minus 4, y is equal to 4. That will be my two solutions for the third quadratic equation. Okay guys, this time we have quadratic equations which are trinomials. So we have x squared plus 6x plus 5 is equal to 0. Now I have done a video on how to factorize quadratic equations, so I'll leave the links down below. But I'll just quickly explain that anyway, just in case if some students do not know how to factorize these. Now to factorize these, of course, we need to find some number and multiply together will give us 5, but will add to give us 6, and of course that's 5 and 1. So I break these down to two linear expressions. So in this video, of course, I am assuming that you know how to factorize. So I'll just put my x's in each of these brackets. Then, like I said, so I need to find a number which when multiplied together will give me 5 and add to give me 6. And of course 5 is a prime number. There's only one pair, which is 5 and 1. 5 times 1 gives me 5, and if I add these two together, it'll give me 6. So that'll be x plus 5, x plus 1, which is equal to 0. Now once again, two possibilities, either x plus 5 is equal to 0. If that is the case, then x is equal to minus 5. And if x plus 1 is equal to 0, then that means x is equal to minus 1. So that will be my solution for this one. Once again, we have another quadratic equation, x squared plus 8x plus 7 is equal to 0. So I need to find two numbers when multiplied together will give me 7, but add to give me 8. And once again, it's pretty straightforward. I know 7 is a prime number, so there'll be just 7 and 1. I'll just put my x's in here and set that equal to 0. So x plus 7 and x plus 1. So therefore, now I have two possibilities again. So either x plus 7 is equal to 0 or x plus 1 is equal to 0. And if x plus 7 is equal to 0, that means x must be minus 7. And if x plus 1 is equal to 0, that means x must be minus 1. And that will be my two solutions for this quadratic equation. Okay guys, here's another set. Now this time we have x squared plus 5x minus 14 is equal to 0. And the other one is x squared minus 2x minus 15 is equal to 0. Now in order to solve this one, just what we did in the last example, so what we do is we break them down to two linear expressions, and we put our x's in both of the brackets and set this equal to 0. Now, so I need to find two numbers when multiplied together will give me 14, but when added together will give me 5. So the two numbers are 7 and 2. Because if I have 7 times 2 will give me 14, so that would be 7 and 2. And because I have a positive in front of the 5, that means the bigger number will be positive number. In other words, it will be plus 7, and I have a minus 2 there. Because I have a minus here, so that means they'll be opposite signs. Now, like I said, I have done a video on how to factorize quadratic equations. You can certainly have a look at that, and I'll leave the links down below. So x minus 2, x plus 7, these are my two linear expressions when we factorize the quadratic equation. So now, the next step would be, of course, to find the values of x, which will make this expression 0. Once again, we have two possibilities. Either x minus 2 is equal to 0, therefore x is equal to 2. And if x plus 7 is equal to 0, that means x is equal to minus 7. So these are my two solutions for this quadratic equation. Let's have a look at this one. So this time we have x squared minus 2x minus 15. So I'll just open the two brackets. Just put my x's here. Now I have minus 15 at the end, and I have a minus 2x here. Now once again, this tells me that there will be two opposite signs. So if I have minus 15, so I need to find a pair of numbers when multiplied together will give me 15, but add to give me 2. So the two numbers which when multiplied together to give me 15 would be 3 and 5, and of course they have a difference of 2. So because I have a negative in front of, so I'll just put that 0 there. Because I have a minus in front of the 2x, that means my bigger number will carry the negative sign and the other one will carry the positive sign. So x plus 3 times x minus 5 is equal to 0. So there's two possibilities are x plus 3 is equal to 0. So that means x must equal to minus 3. And if x minus 5 is equal to 0, that means x must equal to 5. So these are my two solutions for this quadratic equation. Okay guys, here we have another set. Okay guys, here we have another set of quadratic equations. Now this time we have a minus in front of the x squared term. Now this tends to make students panic quite a lot. But like I said, you just have to follow the procedure and everything becomes easier. So let's go ahead and see how we go about doing that. Now you break that down to two linear expressions. So you have a minus x squared, which means that one of your x will be positive and one will be negative. It doesn't matter where you put this. Okay, I could have put the x there or minus x there, it doesn't matter. Now the next step where you need to be a bit careful with, so we need to find some number. So the next step would be to find a pair of numbers which when multiplied together will give me 15, but when we add will give me minus 2. And the two numbers are 3 and 5. But now, where do I put my 3 and 5? Well, if I put my 5, now I need to look at this number here. That's a minus 2x. Now in order to get a minus, I would need to multiply by this minus x. So it must be in this bracket. So I put my 5 here. So I put my 3 here. And let's check this out, and this would be a plus, of course. So if I do 3 times 5 will give me 15. Now if I do 3 times x, that will give me 3x plus minus x times 5 will give me minus 5x. And when I add 3x plus minus 5x will give me minus 2x. And if I multiply the minus x by the x, of course it will give me x squared. So I know I have factorized it correctly. So the two possibilities are, or the solution is 3 minus x is equal to 0. And if that is the case, so you have minus x is equal to minus 3, then x must equal to 3. And in this case, we have 5 plus x is equal to 0. That means x must equal to minus 5. And that is my solution for this quadratic equation. Let's have a look at the next one here. Once again, we need to break them down to two linear expressions. Set that equal to 0. So we have y and y. So one will be negative and one will be positive. The next step would be to find two numbers when multiplied together to give me 18, but add to give me 7. Of course, the factors of 18 that would allow me to do that would be 9 and 2. But remember, because we have a negative, of course, one's going to be a negative, one's a positive. So what we need to do, we want to get a plus 7y. Now, in order to get a plus 7y, that means I need to multiply by the positive y. So that means my 9 would go here, and my 2 would go here, because 2 times 9 will give me 18. And if I do 9y minus 2y will give me 7y. If I multiply this bracket out, of course, I will come back to this quadratic equation. So this then gives me a solution would be 2 plus y is equal to 0. That means y is equal to minus 2. Or 9 minus y is equal to 0. That means y is equal to 9. So that would be my solution for this quadratic equation. Okay guys, now here we have another set of quadratic equations. Now this time we have the number in front of the x squared is greater than 1. So we have 3x squared minus 14x plus 8 is equal to 0. Now I'm going to show you two different ways to do these. Now once again, so what we'll do, we'll break this down to two linear expressions. And now the factors of 3x squared, of course 3 is a prime number, so the only factors we'll have is 3x and x. And what we need to do, we need to get two numbers when we multiply them together gives me 8, but then will give me 14x. Of course there won't be any two numbers would allow us to do that, because we need to take into account the 3x as well. So the two numbers, so the factors, what we would do, we look at the factors of 8. So what I'll do, I'll write the factors of 3x squared. So we have 3x and x, and we'll list down the factors of 8. So we have 8 and 1 and 3x, and other factor is 2 and 4. Now we need to find which combination which give us minus 14x. So if I do 3x times 1, that will give me 3x, and I multiply x by 8, that the maximum I'll get is 11x. And if I multiply the 3x and the 8, I'll get 24, and there's no way that I'll get 14x. So let's try this combination. So if I do 3x times 4, that'll give me 12x. X times 2 will give me 2x. 2x plus 12x gives me 14x. So that means it's this combination that I used. So what I need to do, I need to multiply the 3x by the 4. So that means the 4 will go here, and my 2 would go here. Now, because I have a positive sign here, that means, and a negative here, so that means both must be negative, because I want to get a negative 14x. And the only way I would get that if both of these have the same signs. So then, if I solve this, that means 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. So 3x is equal to 2, x is equal to 2 over 3. So that's one of my solutions. The other possibility is, of course, x minus 4 is equal to 0, then x is equal to 4. And that would be my two solutions for this quadratic equation. Let's have a look at the next one. So we have 5x squared minus 16x plus 3 is equal to 0. Once again, what we do, we list the factors of 5x squared, and of course there's only one possibility for that, and that is 5x and x, because 5 is a prime number, so you only have 5 and 1 will be the factors of 5, so 5x and x. 3 again is a prime number, so we need to put the factors down for 3, which are just 3 and 1. So what I would do, I would just write this down just to check which combination would give us that. So we want a minus 16x. So that means I would need to multiply the 5x by the 3 and the x with 1, because that's 5x times 3 gives me 16, x times 1 gives me x, and if you add them together gives me 16. But I want a minus 16, so which means both must carry the negative sign, because the last number is positive. So that means I'd need to multiply the 5x and the minus, so the minus 3 would go in this bracket, and minus 1 would go in this bracket, and of course we set that equal to 0. Now if I solve this quadratic equation, that means, so 5x minus 1 is equal to 0, and that would be 5x minus 1 is equal to 0, and that would give me 5x is equal to 1, so x is equal to 1 over 5. That would be one of my solutions. The other solution would be x minus 3 is equal to 0. That means x must equal to 3. So these are my two solutions for this quadratic equation. Okay guys, here's the same set. This time I'm going to show you a different method to do this. So you can choose which method you prefer, and this is called the AC method. So this one, what we do, we take the 3 and we multiply it by the 8. So remember, do not put an equal sign there, because that is not, mathematically won't be true. So we have x squared, so then this expression becomes x squared minus 14x, 3 times 8 will give me plus 24, and just set that equal to 0. So then the next step would be, of course, just to factorize this as normal. So we have x and we have x here. This time we need to find two numbers and multiply together will give me 24, but add to give me 14. Of course the two numbers are 12 and 2, because 12 times 2 gives me 24, 2 plus 12 gives me 14. So I can put my 12 here and I can put my 2 here. That's a negative and that's a positive. This tells me that they must be same signs. Now the next step would be, now because we multiplied initially by 3, this time what we do, we divide both of these by 3. And what we do, we check and see if we can simplify that. Of course I can't do 2 divided by 3, so what I do, I just shoot my 3 in front of the x, and that would become 3x minus 2. And I can simplify this, x minus 12, so 12 divided by 3 would give me 4, so that would be x minus 4, That's equal to 0. Now this is my factorized form of this here. That's been factorized. Now I can just solve this, and of course we've already solved this, so we've got, for this we got x is equal to 2 over 3 and x is equal to 4. So that's one way of doing it. So if we apply the same AC method onto this one, so we multiply the 5 and the 3 together, and that would give me x squared minus 16x plus 15, and that's equal to 0. Breaking that down to two linear expressions, that would give me x, and put my x's here. Now the two numbers that will give me 15 when multiplied together and add to give me 16, of course, is 15 and 1. And that's a negative and that's a positive. That means that they both must carry the same signs. So x minus 1, x minus 15 is equal to 0. Now we need to divide numbers here by 5, because that's what we did. We multiplied initially the 3 and the 5 together, so that's why we have to divide by that 5. Now of course I can't simplify that, so what I'll do, I'll shoot my 5 in front of the x, so that's 5x minus 1. So have x minus 15 divided by 5, so that'll be x minus 3, and that's all equal to 0. So that is factorized into that, to these two linear expressions. So then I get 5x equal to 1, so x is equal to 1 over 5, so that's one of my solutions, and of course x is equal to 3. So that would be my other solution. Okay guys, in the next part, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to solve quadratic equations by completing the square and using the quadratic formula. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. Thank you for watching.